lie there. Go, carry them, and smear the sleepy grooms with blood.
I'll go no more. I'm afraid to think what I have done. Look on again, I dare not.
Macbeth is afraid to think what he has done. To Lady Macbeth, what has been done is an easy matter. A little water clears us of this deed. But then they must face a great test, the discovery of the murder. And here I suggest the first flaw in Lady Macbeth's seemingly impenetrable armor is revealed. Consider it. A king has been murdered, the Lord's anointed in Macduff's words. But when Lady Macbeth supposedly first hears of it and must play her part to perfection...
Banquo, our royal master's murdered.
What? In our house?
Too cruel anywhere.
Had I but died an hour before this chance, I had lived a blessed time. For from this instant there's nothing serious in mortality. All is but toys. Renown and grace is dead. The wine of life is drawn, and the mere lees is left this vault to brag of.
Is Macbeth merely acting here? Again, nothing is but what is not. He realizes, I think, that from this instant there can be no peace of mind for him. He means what he says. As for Lady Macbeth, there is in fact another very revealing moment prior to the one we've just seen. Having drugged the king's guards, she waits tensely as Macbeth performs the actual murder.
Afraid they've awaked and 'tis not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark! Had he the daggers ready, he could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done. My husband.
I have done the deed. But didst thou not hear a noise?
Heard the owl scream and the crickets cry? Did not you speak?
When?
Now.
As I descended?
Aye.
Lady Macbeth recovers quickly, as we have just seen. But one line, had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done it, can prepare us for the Lady Macbeth yet to come, a woman who will descend into a private hell of remorse and guilt, whose mind will give way, who will finally take her own life. But for the moment, she is in control of herself. Macbeth hears voices crying, "Sleep no more." She hears only the owl scream and the crickets cry. It is important to understand Lady Macbeth's lack of imagination, or perhaps it is not so much lack of imagination as that she keeps her imagination and her conscience in check by a supreme effort of the will. She prays to the murdering ministers to stop up the access and passage to remorse. She literally will not understand, or cannot understand, I suggest you decide for yourself, what she and her husband have done until she sees it revealed, mirrored, as it were, in other people. In the discovery scene, she sees the harrowing effect of the murder on the members of the court, and she makes a slip. What? In our house? And more important, she sees the effect the murder has had on her husband, and this she cannot bear.
My lord? Why do you keep alone? I'm sorry it's fancies your companion's making, using those thoughts which should indeed have died with them they think on. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done.
We have scotched the snake. not killed it. She'll close and be herself, whilst our poor Malice remains in danger of her former tooth. But let the frame of things disjoint. Both the worlds suffer. Ere we will eat our meal in fear or sleep in the affliction of these terrible dreams that shake us nightly. Better be with the dead, whom we, to gain our peace, have sent to peace, than on the torture of the mind to lie in restless ecstasy. Duncan is in his grave. After life's fitful fever, he sleeps well. Treason has done his worst. Nor steel, nor poison, malice domestic, foreign levy. Nothing can touch him further.
Come on, gentle my lord. Sleek o'er your rugged looks. Be bright and jovial among our guests tonight.
So shall I, love. And so I pray be you. Let your remembrance apply to Banquo. Present him eminence both with eye and tongue. Unsafe the while that we must lave our honors in these flattering streams and make our faces visards to our hearts, disguising what they are.
You must leave this.
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Thou know'st that Banquo and his fleance lives.
But in them, nature's copies not etern.
There's comfort yet. They are assailable. And be thou jocund. Ere the bat hath flown his cloistered flight, ere to black Hecate summons the shard-born beetle with his drowsy hums hath rung night's yawning peal, there shall be done a deed of dreadful note.
What's to be done?
Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed.
Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck, till thou applaud the deed. There are great depths of bitterness here. A curious change has taken place in their relationship. In one way, a reversal of roles. And this change is emphasized, pointed up, in the verse itself, in the imagery used on one occasion by Lady Macbeth, later by Macbeth. Before the murder of Duncan, she invokes the powers of evil to come to her aid in what is perhaps one of the most awe-inspiring speeches in dramatic literature.
You spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Come to my woman's breast, take my milk for gall, you murthering ministers, wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief. Come, thick night, pour thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry, "Hold! Oh!"
And this terrible invocation is echoed later in much the same poetic imagery by Macbeth before the murder of Banquo.
Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that great bond which keeps me pale. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, whilst night's black agents to their praise do rouse.
The fact is, Macbeth is completely alone now. He keeps to himself, no longer wants or needs his wife, has rejected, shut out her dearest love, and this was something more she could never have imagined. However, because of his fears, he does need her just once more. The scene is the palace, soon after the murder of Banquo. Fleance, Banquo's son, has escaped, and Macbeth is once again assailed by doubts and fears. And in the place reserved for Banquo at the royal table, he sees, created by his sickened imagination, Banquo's ghost.
Avaunt and quit my sight!
But Lady Macbeth, fearing that he will give all away, is now in her turn a magnificent actress.
"Sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus, and hath been from his youth. Pray you, keep seat. The fit is momentary."
But the guests depart, leaving them alone. Macbeth grows worse and worse. His frenzied imagination leads his thoughts to terrible depths to which he cannot or will not follow.
It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood. Stones have been known to move and trees to speak. Argues and understood relations have by maggot pies and choughs and rooks brought forth the secrets, man of blood. What is the night?
Almost at odds with morning. Which is which?
Oh, sayest thou that Macduff denies his person at our great bidding?
Did you send to him, sir?
I hear it by the way. But I will send. There's not a one of them but in his house I keep a servant feed. For mine own good all causes shall give way. I'm in blood stepped in so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go o'er. Strange things I have in head that will to hand, which must be acted ere they may be scanned.
You lack the season of all natures. Sleep.
Will to sleep. My strange and self-abuse is the initiate fear that wants hard use. We are yet but young indeed. black and midnight hags. What is't you do?
A deed without a name.
I conjure you by that which you profess, howe'er you come to know it. Answer me. Though you untie the winds and let them fight against the churches, though the yeasty waves confound and swallow navigation up, though bladed corn be lodged and trees blown down, though castles topple on their warders' heads, though palaces and pyramids do slope their heads to their foundations, though the treasure of nature's germ tumble altogether even till destruction sicken, answer me to what I ask you.
Speak. Demand. We'll answer.
Say if thou'dst rather hear it from our mouths or from our masters.
Call him. Let me see him.
Show his eyes and grieve his heart. Come like shadows, so depart.
Macbeth. Macbeth. Beware, Macduff. Beware the Thane of Fife.
Laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. Macbeth shall never vanquished be, until great Burnham Wood, to high Dunsinane Hill, shall come against him.
These prophecies, of course, come true. If we are not to accept them as supernatural manifestations, what are they? In one way, they're fairly easy to explain. Next to Macbeth, Macduff is Scotland's most powerful nobleman. Macbeth has every reason to fear him, and he and Macduff, moreover, were once great friends. Macbeth could have known that Macduff was not of woman born, that is, he was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. By that we are to assume a caesarean section. As for Burnham Wood coming to Dunsinane, the invading troops used branches and boughs of trees to conceal their strength from Macbeth's scouts, a fairly primitive method of camouflage, and one which Macbeth, fighting desperately for his life, may have feared unconsciously. So much for rational explanation. The stage director cannot stop his production midstream to explain anything, however plausibly. The key, I believe, is Macbeth's imagination. It is at this point a fearful thing to behold. We have shown it gradually stripped away to its lower depths. He lives in restless ecstasy, his mind full of scorpions. He hears voices, beholds the bloodless ghost of Banquo. His words, the imagery he uses, rise from the depths of his unconscious. Maggot pies, choughs, rooks, blood will have blood, and he dreams, or half waking, has a vision of the witches. And from half-forgotten memories, fears, doubts, wishful thinking, desperate hopes, premonitions, his rampant imagination, he constructs his own invincibility. Nothing can defeat him. And yet, nothing is but what is not. He constructs it in an ambiguous way. He knows, indeed has known since the murder of the king, that he is doomed. But the real point, of course, is that a director need not offer any sort of explanation, rational or not. If his idea works, it works. If he can project an atmosphere on stage that convinces the audience, his job is well done. But more important, to present the witches as creatures of Macbeth's own making would be, I believe, a valid interpretation of Shakespeare's intentions. The whole play has the quality of nightmare, of hallucination. Darkness, thick night broods over it. Sleep and sleeplessness haunt it. On this level, the entire dramatic structure mirrors the growing disorder of Macbeth's mind. And of course, not only Macbeth's.
How does your patient, Doctor?
Not so sick, my lord, as she is troubled with thick coming fancies that keep her from her rest.
Cure her of that. Canst thou not minister to a mind diseased? Pluck from the memory a rooted sorrow. Raise out the written troubles of the brain. with some sweet, oblivious antidote. Cleanse the stuffed bosom of that perilous stuff which weighs upon the heart.
Therein a patient must minister to himself.
But Lady Macbeth cannot minister to herself. Her last desperate act will be to take her own life. The tragedy of Macbeth contains probably the most famous scene of any play in English, Lady Macbeth's sleepwalking scene. It is justly famous. Every actress worthy of the name longs to try it. Technically, in one way, it is simple. In stark contrast to the complex verse which surrounds it, it is in prose, but in prose so evocative and compelling that it demands every resource of even the greatest actress. In simple phrases, disconnected, random, the major actions of the play are echoed. The murder of the king, Banquo's ghost, the murder of Lady Macduff, the very smell of blood, and the great poignant line summing up everything. What's done cannot be undone.
I have 2 nights watched with you, but can perceive no truth in your report.
You, here she comes. This is her very guise, and upon my life, fast asleep.
How came she by the light?
Why, it stood by her. She has light by her continually. 'Tis her command.
She does now. See how she rubs her hands.
It is an accustomed action with her to seem thus washing her hands. I have seen her continue in this a quarter of an hour.
Yes, a spot.
Hark, she speaks.
Out, damn spot, out, I say. 1, 2. Why, then 'tis time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie. A soldier and a feared. What need we fear, who knows it, when none can call our power to account? But who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him?
Do you mark that?
The Thane of Fife had a wife. Where is she now? And his hands ne'er be clean. No more of that, my lord. No more of that. You mar all with this starting.
Go to, go to. You have known what you should not.
She has spoke what she should not, I'm sure of that. Heaven knows what she has known.
There's the smell of blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh.
Put a size there. The heart is sorely charged.
I would not have such a heart in my bosom for the dignity of the whole body.
Well, well, well.
Pray God it be so.
This disease is beyond my practice.
Wash your hands. Put on your nightgown. Look not so pale. I tell you yet again, Banquo is buried. He cannot come out unscathed.
Even so?
To bed. To bed.
There's knocking at the gate.
Come. Give me your hand. What's done cannot be undone. To bed. bed.
Will she go now to bed?
Directly.
God forgive us all.
In the first film, we trace the development of Macbeth as a struggle for power, for control of the kingdom of Scotland. In this film, we have seen the results of this on two people chiefly, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Our interest has centered on them as individuals, on their tortured mental process. On both levels, the play has much to say to us. Power, or perhaps it should be the love of power, corrupts. Human beings cannot commit themselves to evil actions without guilt and ultimate destruction. Either or both are possible themes for the play. Either might be interpreted as Shakespeare's comment on the condition of man. And yet, there is, I suggest, something more in the play, something that can be traced in the poetry, the imagery of the play itself. Each work of Shakespeare, as you will discover, has its own prevailing poetic imagery, much like a prevailing wind which sweeps through it, giving it its own unique oral tone and texture. So it is to a marked degree with Macbeth.
Come, sealing night, scarf up the tender eye of pitiful day, and with thy bloody and invisible hand cancel and tear to pieces that...
Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began a...
And oftentimes, to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truth.
Take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers.
Merciful powers, restrain in me the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose.
Thrice the brinded cat hath mewed, thrice and once the hedge pig whined.
One cried murder. That they did wake each other. I stood and heard them.
That who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him?
Oh, horror. Horror.
King Cawdor plants.
As hounds and greyhounds, mongrels, spaniels, curs, chops, water rugs, and demi-wolves are clept all by the name of dogs.
Come down! Fly, good friend! Fly!
It will have blood, they say. Blood will have blood.
A pattern emerges. Instruments of darkness, murdering ministers, cursed thoughts, night, the dark, sin, diseased minds, sleeplessness, war, blood, and death. The catalogue is not an attractive one, but it suggests a theme, suggests perhaps what Shakespeare is getting at in Macbeth. The play begins and ends with war. Ironically, Macbeth is held in golden opinion for his bloodletting on the field of battle. "Oh, valiant cousin, worthy gentleman," the king says, when he hears that Macbeth has split a man neatly in two from the nave to the chops with his broadsword. War, then, in Macbeth, turns out to be sanctioned violence, violence blessed by authority, as indeed it is in our own time, and peace, an interlude in which the struggle for power continues secretly or openly, with or without bloodletting. The theme of the play, then, would seem to be this. Within every human being, in war or in peace, is a terrible lust for violence. Every man, in Macbeth's words, is the secret man of blood. More broadly, within man, humanity, is the same terrible bloodlust, the same lust for power. Is this the theme which speaks to our time, to the 20th century? Has our age thus far been such that we can say with Macbeth, "I have supped full with horrors, Dionysus familiar to my slaughterous thoughts, cannot once start me"? And if so, is the play one of despair, of all-embracing pessimism? Is Shakespeare saying, as Macbeth does, that all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death, that life is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing? I suggest not. And the reason, curiously enough, lies in the character of Macbeth himself. Macbeth is urged to his first murder by three things: the prophecies of the witches, his own ambition, and Lady Macbeth's. Any one would not have been enough, but all three were sufficient to convince him to kill the king. But, and this is the point, once he has done so, he sees immediately, clearly, hopelessly, that all is lost. From this instant, he says, there's nothing serious in mortality. And yet he goes on, relentless, unyielding, from murder to murder, never really believing that he can find peace, always prey to the restless scorpions of his mind. He knows that what he does is vile, and yet heart-sick he does it. It is a terrible portrait, superbly drawn, of a man, in one critic's words, at war with his own soul. Thus we cannot hate Macbeth, for if the truth be told, we recognize ourselves in him. Nor, for that matter, can we believe that his life signifies nothing, for there remains throughout something sublime in him. We feel a sense of waste, a tragic sense of loss concerning him. No one else in the play has his energy, his courage, his intelligence, his imagination, and most important, perhaps, his capacity for suffering. Macbeth sees himself clearly. He has no illusions about himself. He knows what he has become, and he knows what he might have become. It is this, I suggest, the capacity for evil and for good within the same human heart, that Shakespeare was finally concerned with in the tragedy of Macbeth.